6 years ago, Rhiannon Ashmore learned the shape of hope. She was 18 then, small for a wolf with hands better suited to healing than fighting. The kind of girl who moved through rooms without displacing air. Useful, forgettable, safe. The border skirmish came without warning on a Tuesday afternoon. Stone Ridge wolves testing boundaries again, as they did every few seasons when their alpha grew bored or ambitious. The Blackwood pack met them at the eastern ridge, where the forest thinned into rocky outcrops, and the sky stretched too wide for secrets. Rhea was not supposed to be there. Trainee healers stayed behind defensive lines waiting with supplies and steady hands. But she had been gathering bloodroot in the upper meadows when the howls began. Close. Too close. She ran toward the sound instead of away from it because, even then, even young, she understood that being useful was the only currency she possessed. She found him half buried under a fallen tree. Marcus Thorne, 22 years old, newly confirmed as alpha after his father's death 3 months prior. Blood darkening his left side where a Stone Ridge wolf had caught him off guard. Conscious, but fading. His second in command trying to lift the tree trunk, while two other warriors held the line against the retreating enemy. Rhea did not announce herself. She dropped to her knees in the dirt and moss hands already moving. Bloodroot for clotting, yarrow for shock, pressure on the wound firm enough to matter, gentle enough not to tear. She worked in silence while battle sounds faded into forest quiet, birds returning to branches, wind resuming its conversation with leaves. Marcus opened his eyes when she pressed the poultice against his ribs. Storm-colored eyes. The kind that held depth if you looked long enough. Most people never looked long enough at Rhea to see anything but Marcus looked. For 17 seconds she counted them later. Lying in her narrow bed, she held his gaze while his body remembered how to knit itself back together under her touch. "You're the healer's apprentice," he said, his voice rough with pain and something else. Recognition, maybe. Or gratitude. "Rhiannon," she offered. "Rhea." "Marcus," as if she did not know. As if the entire pack had not spent 3 months watching him try to fill his father's considerable shadow. "I know who you are." The tree lifted then, strong hands belonging to warriors whose names she could never quite remember. They pulled Marcus to his feet. He swayed once. She steadied him with a hand on his forearm, his skin warm under her palm. Alive. Whole enough. "Thank you," Marcus said. She nodded. Words felt too large for her throat. He turned to join his warriors. 3 steps away, he looked back, caught her eyes again across the bloodstained ground, smiled, small, real. Rhea carried that smile home like a wounded bird cupped in careful hands. That night, she started a journal, small leather-bound book she had been saving for something important. She wrote the date, wrote his name, wrote today, he saw me. She did not know then that it would be the last time for 6 years. 6 years later, Rhiannon Ashmore was 24 years old and very good at disappearing into the background. The packhouse kitchen smelled like rosemary and rendered fat. Rhea stood at the long wooden table grinding feverfew for Elder Corinne's headaches. Morning light filtered through windows that needed washing. Dust motes drifted in the pale beams, lazy and directionless. Outside, the pack prepared for the marking ceremony. Rhea did not need to see the preparations to know their shape. Bonfires being built in the central clearing. The ceremonial platform scrubbed and decorated with mountain laurel and wild sage. Warriors polishing armor they would never wear in actual battle but donned for tradition's sake. Younger wolves running messages between houses electric with excitement. Tonight their alpha would mark his Luna. Tonight Marcus Thorne would bind himself to Celestine Kavanaugh of the Northern Territories. Tonight the alliance that had been negotiated over 6 months of careful diplomacy would be sealed in blood and witnessed by both packs. Rhea ground the feverfew into powder, the mortar smooth under her palm, the pestle worn to fit her grip exactly after 6 years of daily use. Her hands knew this work. Her body knew this kitchen. She had learned every corner of usefulness the pack could offer and made herself indispensable in ways that required no acknowledgement. Healer. Not the head healer. That position belonged to Corinne, who had trained Rhea and 3 others. But Rhea was the one who woke before dawn to prepare tinctures. The one who checked on new mothers in the dark hours when loneliness pressed hardest. The one who sat with dying wolves and held their hands and made sure they did not leave the world alone. Useful. Essential even. Overlooked. "You should come tonight." Margot's voice cut through the quiet. She stood in the doorway, 28 years old and beautiful in the way women are when they have never doubted their right to be seen. Dark hair, strong shoulders, a face that demanded attention and received it. Rhea had met Margot a few years back, another healer who sometimes passed through the territory claiming distant family connections Rhea had never quite understood. They were not close. But Margot checked on her sometimes with the casual concern of someone fulfilling a vague obligation. "I will be there," Rhea said without looking up from her work. "In the crowd, I mean. Not hiding in the healer's tent. Someone needs to be ready in case anyone gets hurt during the ceremony." No one ever gets hurt during marking ceremonies. There is always a first time. Margot sighed the sound, carrying disappointment without surprise. She had given up trying to pull Rhea out of shadows years ago. "He is making a mistake, you know." Rhea's hands stilled briefly, then resumed their rhythm. "He is doing what is best for the pack." That is what he tells himself. "The Northern Territories have resources we need. Celestine's family controls the crystal mines. Without that alliance, we are vulnerable to Stone Ridge, to Crimson Vale." Marcus is thinking strategically. Marcus is thinking like a man who has forgotten how to feel anything that cannot be justified by duty. Margot moved into the room, leaned against the table. "You should tell him." "Tell him what?" "That you love him." The feverfew turned to dust under Rhea's pestle. Too fine now. Ruined. She swept it into a bowl anyway. Waste was worse than imperfection. "I do not love him," Rhea said. The lie tasted like ash. Margot's laugh was short and sharp. "You have been in love with Marcus Thorne since you were 18 years old. Everyone knows it except him." "Then it does not matter." "It matters to you." Rhea finally looked up, met Margot's eyes. "What would you have me do? Walk up to the Alpha on the day he marks his Luna and declare feelings he does not return, feelings he has never suspected I am a healer?" "Margot, not a Luna, not even close. You saved his life. 6 years ago, he does not remember. He should, but he does not." Rhea turned away to started cleaning the mortar. "And tonight he will mark Celestine Kavanaugh, and the pack will celebrate. And I will be in the healer's tent in case anyone needs me, because that is what I do. I am useful. I am necessary. I am here." "You are fading," Margot said quietly, "and you have made yourself that way on purpose." Rhea's hands tightened on the mortar. "Being unseen is safer than being seen and dismissed." "Is it?" Margot pushed off from the table. "Or is it just slower erasure?" She left before Rhea could answer, which was just as well. Rhea had no answer to give. The journal sat in the bottom drawer of Rhea's dresser, wrapped in cloth that had once been her mother's shawl. She told herself she would not look at it today. Today required strength, and the journal held 6 years of accumulated weakness. But her hands betrayed her intentions. They always did when it came to Marcus. The first entry, her handwriting younger, rounder, hopeful in ways that made her chest ache. "Today he saw me." The second entry dated 3 weeks later. Marcus had visited the healer's house to check on a warrior injured in training. He had thanked Rhea for her care, asked her name. She had reminded him they had met before. He smiled apologetically and said he met many people. She understood. Of course she understood. He forgot. But that's okay. I will make sure he remembers. Entries piled up like stones in a cairn, marking something dead. Marcus led the hunt today. He moved like poetry, like purpose. I watched from the healer's tent. He did not notice. Elder Corinne says I have a gift for healing. Marcus needed stitches after the skirmish with Crimson Vale. I did the work, my hands steady, his arm warm under my touch. He thanked the healer's tent in general. Did not meet my eyes. I left medicine on his doorstep when he had that cough, anonymous. He recovered. I was glad. 5 years today since the border skirmish. Since he looked at me and smiled. I wonder if he remembers. I know he does not. The entries grew shorter, more resigned, the handwriting tighter. Saw him today. He did not see me. Healed his second in command. Marcus was grateful to the healers, plural. I was one of many. I think I have loved him so long, I have forgotten how not to. The final entry written 3 months ago when the betrothal to Celestine was announced. He is going to mark her, Celestine Kavanaugh. Beautiful, powerful, appropriate, everything I am not. I am happy for him. I am happy for the pack. This is good. This is right. I will attend the ceremony. I will smile. I will be useful as always. And maybe if I am lucky, he will notice I am there, just once before he belongs to someone else completely. But probably not. Probably I will stand at the edge of the celebration like I stand at the edge of everything. Present but unseen. Here but not quite real. Some women are meant to be seen. I am not one of them. I think I am tired of trying to be. Rhea closed the journal, wrapped it carefully, returned it to the drawer. Her hands did not shake. She had cried all her tears years ago in quiet moments when no one needed her. There was nothing left now but a dull ache that had become so familiar she barely noticed it. Like breathing, like her heartbeat, constant and painful and utterly her own. Tonight, Marcus would mark Celestine, and Rhea would be there, blending into the edges as always. At least this time she had chosen it. The ceremony began at dusk. Bonfires burned in a circle around the platform, smoke rising into a sky gone purple at the edges. The pack gathered in concentric rings, warriors closest to the platform, elders behind them, families and younger wolves filling the outer circles, voices humming with anticipation. Rhea stood at the very back, near the healer's tent but not inside it, close enough to respond if needed, far enough to remain unnoticed. Celestine arrived first. She moved like a woman who had never doubted her right to be watched. Tall, elegant in the way of women born to power. Her dress was traditional white, her hair unbound and dark as river stones. She climbed the platform steps without hesitation. The Northern Territories delegation cheered, loud and proud, their Luna, their daughter, their political masterpiece. The Blackwood pack cheered too, more restrained. This was necessary. This was strategic. This was the mark of good leadership, putting pack needs above personal desires. Marcus emerged from the Alpha's house. Rhea's pulse jumped despite her preparation. Despite 6 years of practice at not reacting to his presence, he wore ceremonial leathers, dark and fitted, his expression serious, his jaw set with determination. He looked like an alpha, like a leader, like a man doing his duty even though it cost him something to do it. Or maybe Rhea imagined that last part. Maybe she needed to believe this was difficult for him too. Maybe she was simply foolish. He climbed the platform, took his place across from Celestine. Elder Corinne stepped between them, raised her hands. The pack fell silent. We gather under the witness of moon and fire to seal a bond that will strengthen 2 packs. Marcus Thorne Alpha of Blackwood will mark Celestine Kavanaugh Luna of the Northern Territories. This bond is duty and desire, necessity and choice. This bond is permanent. Does the Alpha consent? I consent. Marcus's voice carried across the clearing. Steady. Sure. Does the Luna consent? I consent. Celestine's voice matched his. No hesitation. No doubt. Then let the marking begin. Marcus stepped forward. Celestine tilted her head, exposing her throat. The traditional position. Trust and submission and acceptance all performed in a single gesture. Rhea should have looked away. She could not. Marcus placed one hand on Celestine's shoulder. The other cupped the back of her neck. Gentle, careful. He leaned in. His teeth found her throat. Rhea felt it. Pain struck her collarbone with brutal precision. Sharp, invasive, intimate in a way that tore through every defense she had built over 6 years of loving him from a distance. Her hand flew to her throat, pressed hard, as if she could hold herself together through pressure alone. The sensation was not imagined. It burned, deep and wrong and utterly terrifyingly real. Her vision blurred at the edges. She locked her knees to stay upright, bit down on the inside of her cheek until she tasted blood. No one could see her falter. No one could know. On the platform, Marcus pulled back, the mark dark on Celestine's pale throat. The crowd erupted into celebration. Rhea could not breathe properly. The connection between them, she had felt it for years, quiet, unacknowledged, a thread linking her heart to his whether he knew it existed or not. She had told herself it was one-sided, wishful thinking, the delusion of a woman who had loved too long and too uselessly. But this pain, this was not delusion. Something fundamental had just broken. Or maybe it had broken years ago and she had simply refused to acknowledge the fracture until now. Until Marcus's teeth in another woman's flesh forced her to feel every inch of damage she had been carrying. The pack celebrated. Bonfires burned brighter. Someone started drumming. Voices rose in traditional songs. Rhea turned, walked away from the celebration, from the light, from 6 years of hope that had finally mercifully died. No one noticed her leaving. She had known they would not. Rhea packed in the dark. Her room was small, a narrow bed, a dresser, a shelf of healing books. Everything she owned fit into 2 leather bags with room to spare. She moved methodically. Clothes, supplies, her mother's shawl, the journal. She hesitated over the journal, thought about burning it, decided against it. Burning felt too dramatic, too much like grief. This was not grief, this was simply over. She left a note on the kitchen table. Short, Practical. I am leaving. Do not look for me. Thank you for everything. I wish you all well. She signed it with her full name, Rhiannon Ashmore, as if anyone would need clarification, as if anyone would wonder which Rhiannon had left. The pack house was empty. Everyone still at the celebration. The noise carried from the central clearing. Laughter, music, joy. Rhea walked out the back door, through the kitchen garden, into the forest beyond. She did not run. Running implied panic suggested that this was impulsive rather than inevitable. She walked, steady and certain, north toward the borderlands. Behind her, the pack celebrated a future she would never be part of. Ahead, the forest opened into darkness that felt cleaner than staying. For the first time in 6 years, Rhea chose herself. It should have felt triumphant. It felt like the loneliest choice she had ever made. Marcus realized she was gone, 3 hours into the celebration. The connection that had pulled at him during the marking ceremony, that had made him hesitate for half a second before his teeth found Celestine's throat, that had hummed with wrongness even as he completed the necessary ritual, that awareness started screaming. Not loudly, not obviously, but persistent and painful and impossible to ignore. He excused himself from Celestine's side, told her he needed to check on border patrols. She nodded with the understanding of a woman who knew this marriage was political theater more than romance. They were allies now, partners, not lovers, not yet, maybe never. The mark bound them legally. Their hearts remained their own. Marcus headed toward the healer's tent. He did not know why, only that the wrongness originated in that direction. The tent was empty, supplies organized, no sign of recent activity. He checked the healer's house, also empty. The kitchen, the garden, the small building where the trainee healers slept, all empty. Panic began as a cold spot in his chest. He found Elder Corinne near the bonfire, pulled her aside. "Where is Rhiannon?" Corinne blinked. "The healer." "Yes. Where is she?" "I have not seen her since this afternoon. She was preparing supplies." "Why?" Marcus could not explain why. Only that he needed to find her. Needed to confirm she was here. Somewhere. Safe. He checked her room. 2 bags missing. Dresser drawers half empty. The small touches that made the space hers gone. The note waited on the kitchen table. "I am leaving. Do not look for me. Thank you for everything. I wish you all well. Rhiannon Ashmore." Marcus read it 3 times. The wrongness crystallized into understanding without comprehension. She had left. During his marking ceremony. Deliberately. Quietly. In the way Rhea did everything without fuss or drama. Simply choosing to disappear before anyone noticed she was there. Why, he did not know. But the awareness pulling at his chest, the connection he had ignored for 6 years because duty mattered more than feeling it, screamed that he had to find her. Had to bring her back. Had to understand what he had lost before he knew he possessed it. Marcus gathered his closest warriors. Dane, Corinne, 2 trackers. "Find Rhiannon Ashmore," he ordered. "Search every corner of pack territory. Question everyone. When did they last see her? Where did she go? What did she say?" They scattered. The search took all night. At dawn, a tracker returned. She went north, toward the borderlands, 6, maybe 7 hours ago. "Why would she go there?" Dane asked. Corinne's face was unreadable. "Why do any of us go to the borderlands? Because we no longer belong anywhere else." Marcus did not wait for more explanation. He ran. He found her journal in her room while searching for clues. Bottom drawer, wrapped carefully, as if it mattered, as if it was precious. Marcus told himself he would not read it. That would be a violation. An invasion of privacy that Rhea deserved better than. He read it anyway, 6 years condensed into careful handwriting, entries that started hopeful and ended resigned. A chronicle of being overlooked that he had never noticed even though he had apparently caused it. "Today he saw me." Marcus remembered the border skirmish, vaguely. 6 years ago felt like a lifetime. He had been young, newly alpha, trying to prove himself. Someone had bandaged him. A healer. Had he looked at her? He supposed he must have. He did not remember her face clearly. Did not remember her name until years later, when he needed healers and someone mentioned Rhiannon was skilled. He forgot. But that's okay. I will make sure he remembers. Except she had not made him remember. She had made herself useful instead. Essential in ways that required no acknowledgement. She had healed his warriors, left medicine anonymously, worked in shadows while he led in light. I think I have loved him so long, I have forgotten how not to. Marcus's hands shook. She had loved him for 6 years, in silence, in servitude, in the kind of patient hoping that slowly killed people from the inside. And he had never noticed, had never looked at her long enough to see what she offered so freely. Some women are meant to be seen. I am not one of them. You are wrong, Marcus whispered to the empty room. You were always meant to be seen. I was just too blind to look. The final entry destroyed him. Probably I will stand at the edge of the celebration like I stand at the edge of everything. Present but unseen. Here but not quite real. I think I am tired of trying to be. She had attended his marking ceremony, had watched him bind himself to Celestine, had stood somewhere in that crowd while he performed duty over desire. And then she had left. Not in anger, not in heartbreak, simply in exhaustion. Tired of going unnoticed. Tired of loving someone who would never love her back. Marcus closed the journal. Corinne stood in the doorway. He had not heard her enter. You should not have read that, she said, not unkindly. I know. Will you go after her? Yes. Why? Marcus looked at the journal in his hands. 6 years of unspoken love. 6 years of service he had taken without acknowledgement. 6 years of a woman making herself small enough to fit into the spaces he left behind. Because I owe her better than this, he said. You owe her everything, Corinne corrected. She saved your life once. She has been saving pieces of this pack ever since, quietly, without recognition, and you never once thanked her properly. I know. Do you? Corinne's voice hardened. Because from where I stand, you look like a man who just realized what he had only after he lost it, and that Marcus Thorne is the worst kind of knowing. Then what would you have me do? Let her go. The words hit like a blow. Let her go, Corinne repeated. Let her find peace. Let her build a life where she is seen and valued and chosen. Not as an afterthought, not as a consolation, but as a first choice. She deserves that, even if you cannot give it to her. Marcus stood the journal still in his hands. No, he said. No, I will find her. I will bring her back. And if she does not want to come back, then, Marcus faltered, then I will convince her. With what pretty words, apologies 6 years too late, she loved you while you ignored her. Why should she believe anything you say now? Marcus had no answer. Corinne sighed, looked at him with something like pity. Sometimes we do not know what we have until we lose it. But Rhiannon was not something you had, Marcus. She was someone you ignored. There is a difference. And that difference may be the thing that keeps her from ever trusting you again. She left him alone with the journal and his failures. Marcus packed supplies, told Celestine he needed to handle pack business. She did not ask for details. Their bond, new and hollow, did not require explanations. 3 days after Rhea disappeared, Marcus followed her north, toward the borderlands, toward a woman who had loved him so long she had forgotten how to stop, toward a reckoning 6 years in the making. The borderlands existed in the spaces between territories. No alpha claimed them, no pack ruled them. Outcasts lived there, rejected mates, orphaned wolves, the elderly with no families, anyone who did not fit neatly into pack hierarchy. It was not lawless, simply ungoverned. The wolves who lived there created their own structures, their own rules. Survival without the weight of tradition. Marcus tracked Rhea to a settlement 3 days north of Blackwood territory. Dozen rough buildings clustered around a central well, gardens carved from forest floor, smoke rising from cooking fires, children playing near the tree line, old wolves sitting in afternoon sun. Rhea stood near the well teaching a young woman how to bind a sprained wrist. Marcus stopped at the edge of the settlement. She looked different, not physically, but something in her posture had changed. Less careful, less contained. She laughed at something the young woman said. The sound carried across the clearing, light and real and utterly foreign to Marcus's ears. Had he ever heard her laugh before? He could not remember her voice except when she said, yes, Alpha, or right away, or of course. Could not remember her face except as something glimpsed in passing through pack life. She finished the binding, stood, turned, saw him. The laughter died. Her expression shuttered closed became the careful blankness he suddenly recognized from 6 years of not paying attention. She did not run or hide. She walked toward him with the steady pace of someone approaching an unpleasant but necessary task. They met halfway. Alpha, she said, formal, distant. Rhea, why are you here? I came to bring you home. I am home. Marcus looked around the settlement, rough, raw, nothing like the comfortable pack house she had left. This is not home. It is now. The pack needs you. Finally, something flickered in her eyes. The pack had me for 6 years. No one needed me enough to see me. The words from her journal, hearing them spoken aloud hurt more than reading them. I did not know, Marcus said. Did not know that you, he faltered, that you cared. Ria's laugh was sharp, bitter, nothing like the light sound from moments ago. Of course you did not know. I made sure you would not know, because being unseen was safer than being seen and dismissed. You were never. I was nothing but background. She stepped closer, then eyes bright with something Marcus had never seen there before. Anger maybe, or exhaustion finally given voice. I spent 6 years healing your warriors, caring for your pack, leaving medicine on your doorstep when you were sick, making myself useful in every possible way. And you never once looked at me long enough to remember my name without prompting. That is not true. Is it not? When did you learn my name, Marcus? Really learn it, not as that healer or Corinne's apprentice, but as Rhiannon, silence? That is what I thought. I'm sorry. Sorry does not give me back 6 years. Her voice cracked slightly, just enough to reveal the wound beneath the words. Sorry does not erase the fact that you looked through me every single day while I loved you so hard I forgot how to love myself. You love me. The question came out before Marcus could stop it. Ria's expression went cold. Loved. Past tense. You marked another woman. That choice is permanent. I marked Celestine for the pack, for the alliance. Not because you wanted her, not because you loved her, I know. I know it was duty. I know it was strategic. That does not make it hurt less. She turned away. Go home, Marcus. Go back to your Luna, to your pack, to your duty. Let me have this one thing. Let me disappear before I fade completely. I cannot. You do not have a choice. Neither do you. He caught her arm gently, carefully. There is a connection between us. I felt it during the marking ceremony. It pulled at me, made me hesitate. I ignored it because I thought it was simply guilt or doubt. But it is real, is it not? Ria went very still. You felt it too, Marcus continued. When I marked Celestine, you felt it. She pulled her arm free. What I felt does not matter anymore. It matters to me. Since when? Since I read your journal. The color drained from her face. You had no right. I know, then. That was private. That was mine. The one place I could be honest without consequence. I know, and I am sorry. But Ria, those entries. 6 years of loving me in silence. 6 years of making yourself small and useful and overlooked because you thought that was what I needed. I never wanted that. I never asked for that. You never asked for anything from me. That was the problem. Tears bright in her eyes now. She blinked them back furiously. Do you know what it is like to love someone who does not even know you exist, to watch them every day, and know that your entire world revolves around a person who would not notice if you disappeared? I was in your house, in your healer's tent, in your presence dozens of times, and you never saw me. Not really, not until I left. You are right. The admission seemed to surprise her. You are right, Marcus repeated. I did not see you. I took your service without acknowledgement, used your skills without gratitude, walked past you hundreds of times without truly looking. I was selfish and blind, and I failed you in every possible way. Then why are you here? Because I want to do better. It is too late for better. And is it? He stepped closer. She held her ground. Is it truly too late? Or are you simply afraid that if you let me try, I will fail you again? I am not afraid. I am tired. The words came out broken. Honest. I am so tired of hoping you will see me, of making myself smaller so you will notice the space I take up. I cannot do this anymore, Marcus. I cannot love you anymore. It is killing me. Then do not love me. She blinked, confused. Do not love me, Marcus said again. Let me earn it instead. Let me prove that I see you now. Really see you. Not as a healer, not as someone useful, but as Rhiannon Ashmore, the woman who saved my life 6 years ago, the woman I have been too blind to value until now. I do not need you to see me anymore. Maybe not, but I need to try. Why bust? Because you deserve better than what I gave you, and because... He hesitated, he drew breath. Because I marked Celestine while thinking of you. Because the awareness pulled me toward you, even as duty pulled me toward her. Because somewhere in the last 6 years, you became essential. And I was too stupid to recognize it. Ria shook her head. You do not love me. You love the idea of me now that I am gone. You love the guilt, the regret, the chance to be noble and redemptive, but you do not love me. You are right, Marcus said quietly. I do not love you. Not yet. Not properly. But I could, if you let me. If you give me the chance to know you, really know you. Not as background, not as convenience, but as the woman you are when no one is watching. The woman I am when no one is watching is tired, and so lonely it aches. She met his eyes. That what you want to know? Is that honest enough? Yes. Then know this too. I am done waiting for you to choose me. I am done making myself small. I choose myself now. I choose my peace, my voice, my worth, and if you truly respect me, you will leave me alone. She turned, walked back toward the settlement. Marcus watched her go. Every instinct screamed to follow, to argue, to convince. But Corinne's words echoed in his memory. Sometimes we do not know what we have until we lose it. But Rhiannon was not something you had. She was someone you ignored. Rhea had chosen herself. For the first time in 6 years, she had put her own needs first. And Marcus, who had spent those same 6 years taking her service without acknowledgement, had no right to take that choice from her too. He returned to Blackwood territory the next morning. Celestine was waiting, the mark on her throat dark and permanent. Did you find her? She asked. Yes. Did she come back with you? No. Celestine studied his face. Good. Good. You marked me while in love with someone else. That is humiliating enough. I will not also live with her ghost in our house. She turned away. Handle your guilt. Mourn your loss. But do it away from me. We have an alliance to maintain whether or not your heart is in it. Marcus stood alone in the empty house. The connection to Celestine felt hollow. Legal, necessary but empty. The awareness of Rhea pulled at him like a wound that would not close. He had hunted the entire pack to find her. But finding her had only revealed how completely he had lost her, and he had no one to blame but himself. 3 months passed like water through cupped hands. Rhiannon learned to sleep without dreaming of the alpha who had never truly seen her. Learned to wake without the immediate weight of being overlooked pressing down on her chest. Learned that usefulness did not require self-erasure. The borderland settlement grew around her like moss on stone. Slow, organic, essential. She taught healing to anyone who wanted to learn. Old wolves with arthritic hands memorizing herb combinations. Young mothers understanding fever management. Orphan children learning to identify bloodroot and yarrow, and the dozen other plants that meant the difference between life and death. In return, they saw her. Not as background, not as convenient, but as Rhiannon, Rhea. The woman who hummed while grinding medicines. Who laughed when the children brought her perfectly wrong plants, confident and mistaken. Who sat with the dying and did not look away from their fear. She had a name here, a place, a purpose that belonged to her rather than being borrowed from someone else's need. It should have been enough. Most days it almost was, but at night when the settlement quieted and the children slept and the old wolves settled into their memories, Rhea felt the awareness pull. Still there, still present. A thread connecting her to something she had chosen to leave behind. She did not know if Marcus felt it too. She told herself she did not care. The lie tasted familiar by now. The first time Rhea spoke truth and watched it land with weight, she could not explain she thought it was coincidence. A trader had come through the settlement. Rough man with calculating eyes. He offered supplies in exchange for labor. Fair trade on the surface. But something about him set Rhea's teeth on edge. She watched him negotiate with the elder Hawthorne, the settlement's unofficial leader. 70 years old with a mind still sharp as broken glass. But his hearing had faded. His eyes missed details they would have caught decades ago. The trader's terms sounded reasonable. Rhea knew they were not. He is lying. The words came out before she thought about them. Clear, certain. Carrying across the small crowd gathered for the negotiation. Everyone turned. The trader's expression flickered briefly. Surprise chased by calculation. Excuse me, he said. Rhea stepped forward. She had not meant to speak, had not planned to interrupt. But the words had pulled themselves from somewhere deep and true. You are lying about the supplies, the quantities, the quality, the terms. That is a serious accusation. It is the truth. The trader opened his mouth to argue, then stopped. His face went strange, conflicted, as if something inside him warred with something outside him. When he spoke again, the words came reluctant, forced. The flour is cut with sawdust. The salt is dirty. The blankets are moth-eaten. I was going to claim they were quality goods. Silence dropped over the gathering. The traitor looked as shocked as everyone else. His hand went to his throat, eyes wide. I did not mean to say that, but he had said it, could not unsay it. Elder Hawthorne's expression hardened. Leave now and do not return. The traitor fled. The crowd turned to Rhea. How did you know? Someone asked. Rhea had no answer. She had simply known, the same way she knew when a wound would fester before infection showed, the same way she understood which plants would heal and which would harm. Instinct, intuition, truth rising to meet dishonesty and refusing to let it stand unchallenged. I do not know, she said, but she did know, somewhere beneath conscious thought. She knew. An old woman approached after the crowd dispersed. Sienna, ancient beyond counting, lived at the edge of the settlement in a house that smelled like sage and old secrets. You carry the old blood, Sienna said. Not a question. I do not understand. Witness blood, truth keepers. We were once honored, before Pax decided truth was inconvenient. Sienna's eyes were clouded with age but sharp with recognition. When you speak truth, lies cannot stand against it. Not with force, with exposure. The dishonest hear their own deception and cannot help but confess. That is not possible. And yet the traitor confessed. Rhea's hands trembled. She pressed them together, steadied herself. If I carry this blood, why did it never manifest before? Because you were silent for too long. Sienna touched Rhea's shoulder briefly, gently. Truth-speaking requires voice. You spent 6 years unnoticed. No wonder the gift stayed dormant. It is not a gift. It is dangerous. All truth is dangerous to those who profit from lies. Sienna turned away. Use it wisely, or do not use it at all. But know this, the gift will grow stronger whether you want it to or not. Silence fed it for years. Now that you have found your voice, truth will answer. She left Rhea standing in the empty clearing. The awareness of Marcus pulled harder that night, as if distance had felt her change and reacted. As if whatever connected them recognized the awakening and demanded acknowledgement. Rhea ignored it. She was learning how. In Blackwood territory, Marcus Thorne was falling apart with excruciating slowness. The pack did not see it at first. He still led, still made decisions, still maintained the careful performance of alpha authority. But those who knew him best recognized the fractures. Dane noticed how Marcus stared at nothing during council meetings, how his responses came delayed, as if he had to drag his attention back from somewhere distant. Elder Corinne saw him standing outside the healer's house at odd hours, not entering, just standing, looking at windows that no longer held the person he sought. Celestine felt the hollow space in their connection. The mark on her throat bound them legally, politically, but emotionally they existed in separate universes that happened to share the physical space. She confronted him 6 weeks after the marking ceremony. They stood in the Alpha's private quarters, evening light slanting through windows. The room too large for two people who had nothing real to say to each other. You marked me, Celestine said, without preamble, without softness. But your soul belongs to her. Marcus did not insult her with denial. We had an agreement, as she continued, political alliance, mutual benefit. I secure resources for my territory. You secure stability for yours. Clean, simple, bloodless. Yes. Except it is not bloodless, is it? She touched the mark at her throat. This binds us. Legally, permanently. And yet you look at me like I am a stranger wearing your promise. I am trying. I know. That is what makes this worse. Celestine moved to the window, looked out at packlands she would never truly belong to. I was also forced into this. Did you know that? Marcus went still. My father threatened to disown our territory if I did not secure the Blackwood Alliance. We are resource-rich but politically weak. Without your protection, we are vulnerable to takeover, to absorption, to erasure. Her voice stayed level, controlled. So I smiled. I accepted. I bared my throat for your teeth, because duty demanded it. Celestine, I am not asking for sympathy. I am stating facts. She turned to face him. We are both trapped in a prison we built with our own choices. But I will not live in this prison while you pine for a woman who had the courage to leave. I am not pining. You check the healer's house every night to see if she has returned. You send scouts to the borderlands weekly for reports on her well-being. You keep her journal in your desk drawer, and I have seen you reading it when you think no one is watching. Celestine's expression remained neutral. That is pining, Marcus, and it is humiliating. Not for you, for me. Silence stretched between them. I need this alliance to work, Celestine said finally. My territory depends on it. So I will play my part. I will be your Luna. I will stand beside you and smile and maintain the necessary fiction. But do not ask me to pretend your heart is in this. And do not expect me to forgive the fact that you marked me while loving someone else. She left before he could respond. Marcus stood alone in the too large room. The mark on his own shoulder, the one that bound him to Celestine, pulsed with hollow obligation. Legal, necessary, empty. The awareness of Rhea pulled tighter. He pressed his hand against his chest as if pressure could ease the ache. It did not. It never did. The border crisis began with smoke on the eastern horizon, Stone Ridge territory, 3 days' ride from Blackwood lands. Ruled by Alpha Nathan Steele, ambitious, calculating, patient in the way predators are when they have already chosen their prey. The first scouts reported movement. Nathan's warriors gathering at the border, not crossing, not yet, but present, watching, waiting. Dane brought the news to Marcus during morning council. Nathan is testing us, Dane said. He knows about the fracture, about Rhea leaving, about the hollow mark. He smells weakness. How many warriors? Marcus asked. 50 at the border, maybe more behind them. The council elders shifted, uneasy murmurs filling the space. We should respond with force, one elder suggested. Show strength. We should negotiate, another countered. Avoid conflict. Marcus said nothing. His attention pulled north, toward the borderlands. Toward the woman who had once quietly saved his life and dozens of others. Who would know how to handle this? Who had always known how to handle things he was too blind to see. Except she was not here, and he had no right to ask her to return. Double the border patrols, Marcus ordered. Send word to Nathan that any incursion will be met with full force, but do not engage unless they cross the line first. The council dispersed. Dane lingered. You are thinking about her, he said. Marcus did not ask who he meant. Yes. Will you ask her to come back? No. Even though the pack needs her at Boisson, the pack had her for 6 years without appreciating her. I will not make that mistake again. Marcus stood, moved to the window. If Rhea returns, it will be her choice, not my manipulation, not pack desperation. Her choice, Boisson. What if she chooses not to? Then we handle this without her. Dane studied him for a long moment. You have changed. Too late, apparently. Maybe, maybe not. Dane headed for the door, paused. For what it is worth, I think she loved you enough to destroy herself. The fact that she chose herself instead, that took more courage than staying ever would have. He left Marcus alone with that truth. The message arrived 3 days later. A borderlands runner, young, nervous in the way wolves are when entering territory that is not their own. She carried a sealed letter addressed to Alpha Marcus Thorne. Marcus opened it with hands that did not quite steady. Alpha Thorne, I am writing to inform you that Stone Ridge wolves have been harassing borderlands settlements, taking supplies, threatening violence. They claim Blackwood Pack is too weak to defend even neutral territory. I am not asking for protection. We handle our own problems here. But I thought you should know that your weakness is being felt beyond your borders, and innocent people are paying for it. Rhiannon Ashmore. Marcus read it twice. The words were formal, distant, but beneath the careful phrasing he heard concern. Not for him, for the innocents caught between territorial games. He wrote back immediately. Rhiannon, I am deploying warriors to patrol near borderlands. They will not interfere with your settlement's autonomy, but they will stop Stone Ridge harassment. The pack is in crisis. Nathan Steele prepares to invade. Our defenses are solid, but morale is fractured. People are afraid. I do not ask you to come back for me, but innocent wolves will suffer if this escalates to war. Children, elderly, those who cannot fight. If you can find it in yourself to help them, I would be grateful. Marcus. He sent it with the runner, did not allow himself to hope for a response. Rhea received the letter at sunset. She read it 3 times in the privacy of her small room. Innocent wolves will suffer. Children, elderly, those who cannot fight. The same innocence she had spent 6 years protecting, healing, caring for when no one else noticed. Marcus was manipulating her, using her compassion as leverage. She knew that. She also knew he was right. War would not discriminate. It would take the vulnerable first. The healers who tried to save lives while warriors took them. The children who did not understand why adults solve problems with violence. The elderly who had survived too much already to date in someone else's political game. Rhea sat with the decision for 2 days. The Borderlands community watched her without pressing. They had learned to read her silences, to give her space when she needed it. On the third day, she found Elder Sienna. If I go back, Rhea said, I go for them, not for him. Of course, Sienna's expression gave nothing away. I am not staying, just long enough to help. Then I return here. If that is what you choose. It is. Sienna nodded slowly. The gift has grown stronger since the traitor. You will not be able to hide it in a full pack. Truth will surface whether you want it to or not. I know. That will make you dangerous to those who profit from lies. Good, Sienna almost smiled. You have changed, child. 3 months ago, you would have swallowed the gift to keep peace. 3 months ago, I was still trying to disappear. Rhea stood. I am done with that. She packed that night, sent a runner ahead with a simple message. I am coming. Not for you, for them. Rhea returned to Blackwood territory on a Tuesday morning. She walked through the main gates alone. No fanfare, no announcement. Simply arrived as if 3 months had been 3 hours. The pack noticed immediately. Whispers spread like fire through dry grass. The healer, the one who left. She came back, but something was different about her. She carried herself taller, met eyes instead of avoiding them, moved through packlands like she belonged there rather than apologizing for space she occupied. Marcus felt her arrival through the awareness before anyone told him. That pull, that constant ache, it sang with proximity, with relief, with something too complicated to name. He found her at the healer's house, unpacking supplies, organizing the workspace that had been maintained but not truly used in her absence. You came back, he said from the doorway. Rhea did not turn. I came back for the pack, for the innocents who will suffer if this turns to war. Not for you. I know. Do you... Now she looked at him, her eyes harder than he remembered, more certain, because the Marcus I knew 3 months ago would have heard that and still found a way to make it about himself. The observation landed like a blade between ribs. You are right, Marcus said. The Marcus from 3 months ago would have. I am trying to be different. Trying is not the same as succeeding. No, but it is a start. Rhea turned back to her work. I will help stabilize the pack. I will heal whoever needs healing. I will do what I can to prevent war. Then I am leaving again. I understand. Do not make this harder than it needs to be. I will not. She did not believe him. He could see it in the set of her shoulders, the careful distance she maintained between them. He did not blame her. Trust once broken did not repair simply because someone claimed they had changed. Marcus left her to her work. The awareness between them hummed with proximity and pain in equal measure. The truth came 3 hours after Rhea entered pack territory. She was treating a warrior's training injury when it happened. Dane, reliable, loyal, one of Marcus's closest friends. How did this happen? Rhea asked, examining the deep gash on his forearm. Training accident, Dane said. Too quickly, too smoothly. The lie sat wrong in the air. Rhea's hand stilled, the witness blood gift rising before she could suppress it. No, she said, it was not. Dane blinked. Excuse me, that is not a training injury. The angle is wrong, the depth is wrong. Tell me the truth. Dane's mouth opened, closed. His expression went strange, conflicted. When he spoke again, the words came unwilling. I got it breaking up a fight. 2 warriors arguing about whether the pack should have let you leave. It got physical. I intervened. One of them had a knife. Why lie? Because Marcus does not need to know the pack is fracturing over you. The confession came out harsh, frustrated. I did not mean to tell you that. Rhea's hands trembled. She steadied them, finished bandaging his arm in silence. Dane left looking shaken. Word spread. By evening, the entire pack knew. The healer had returned, and she carried something that made lies impossible. The confession started small. A council member admitting to taking bribes. A warrior confessing to cowardice during the last border skirmish. An elder acknowledging she had been manipulating pack decisions for personal gain. Not violent revelations, not explosive, just slow, uncomfortable truths surfacing like bodies from a lake. The pack panicked. She is bringing chaos, someone said. She is exposing what was already broken, another countered. The division deepened. Marcus called emergency council that night. Rhea stood before them, calm-centered in ways she had never been before. What is happening? Elder Hawthorne demanded. Wolves cannot stop confessing. Secrets are spilling everywhere. Is this your doing? Yes, Rhea said simply. Gasps filled the chamber. I carry witness blood, truth keeper lineage. When I am present, lies become difficult to maintain. The dishonest hear their own deception and cannot help but speak truth. That is dangerous, another elder said. Truth is always dangerous to those who profit from lies. Celestine stood from her seat, the mark at her throat dark in candlelight. You cannot simply return and destabilize everything we have built. I did not destabilize anything. I revealed what was already unstable. Rhea met her gaze without flinching. The corruption, the cowardice, the secret fractures, they existed before I arrived. I simply made them visible. Visibility is not always useful. Neither is blindness. The two women stared at each other, Luna and Witness power and truth, neither willing to look away first. Elder Corinne broke the silence. Witness blood, she said slowly. I have not heard that term in 50 years. You know what it is? Marcus asked. Old stories, ancient lineages. Corinne stood, moved to the center of the chamber. Before packs organized around alphas and hierarchy, we had truth keepers, women mostly, who carried the gift of witness. When they spoke truth, lies crumbled. When they called out dishonesty, the dishonest could not maintain deception. What happened to them? Someone asked. Corinne's expression darkened. Packs grew powerful. Leaders wanted control over truth, over narrative, over what could be said and what must stay hidden. So she paused, chose her words carefully. They discouraged witness blood through forced silence, exile, and erasure from history. We forgot them, on purpose. Why? Because truth without control is dangerous to power. Corinne looked at Rhea, and apparently we forgot too well, because here stands a witness blood carrier, and she is reminding us why we were afraid. Rhea felt every eye settle on her, not with reverence, but with fear, with calculation, with the understanding that her presence made comfortable lies impossible. I am not here to destroy you, she said quietly. I am here to prevent innocence from dying in a war built on fractured foundations. If truth destabilizes you, perhaps you were never stable to begin with. Celestine stepped forward. Then let us settle this properly. Settle what? The question of what you are, what you mean, whether witness blood serves this pack or threatens it. Celestine's eyes glittered with something sharp. I invoke the severance trial. The chamber erupted, voices rising, elders arguing, warriors demanding explanation. Marcus stood. No. Celestine turned to him. You do not have the authority to refuse. Old law permits any Luna to invoke severance when competing bonds threaten pack stability. There are no competing bonds. Are there not? She gestured to Rhea. You marked me, but your soul belongs to her. The pack sees it, I see it. Even she sees it. That is competition whether you acknowledge it or not. The severance trial has not been used in generations, Corinne said. It is dangerous, unpredictable. It is also law. Celestine's voice cut through the chaos. And I am invoking it. Let old law decide what serves this pack better. My legitimate political bond. Or this. She looked at Rhea. This unacknowledged emotional entanglement that brings truth but also chaos. Rhea's heart hammered against her ribs. What is the severance trial? Corinne answered. Ancient protocol when two bonds conflict. 3 tests: sacrifice, truth, worth. If witness blood fails, you must leave permanently and never return. If you succeed, she paused. If you succeed, the political bond can be dissolved. But that risks war. Nathan will see it as weakness. Other territories will move. So either I leave or risk war anyway. Rhea laughed sharp, bitter. Convenient. Choose, Celestine said. Trial or exile. Either way, you do not get to stand between me and my Luna bond without consequence. Rhea looked at Marcus. He stood frozen, caught between law and desire and duty that had already failed once. She looked at the pack, some fearful, some hopeful, all waiting for her to make herself small again, to disappear rather than disrupt. 3 months ago she would have. Now I accept the trial, Rhea said, gasps, murmurs, shock rippling through the chamber. Celestine smiled, small, victorious. Then it is settled. 7 days from tonight. New moon. Old law ground. Rhea, you do not have to do this, Marcus said. She looked at him, really looked. Saw the man who had ignored her for 6 years, who had marked another woman while thinking of her, who claimed he wanted to change but had not yet proven it. Yes, she said, I do. Because if I walk away now, I am still disappearing to make everyone else comfortable, and I am done disappearing for anyone. The chamber fell silent. Rhea turned and left. Behind her, the pack dissolved into chaos. Ahead, 7 days until a trial that would determine whether truth could survive in a world built on convenient lies. The woman arrived on the third day. Rhea was gathering herbs near the forest edge when she felt eyes on her. She turned. A stranger stood at the tree line, late 20s, tall, strong features, something familiar in the shape of her face that Rhea could not place. "Rhiannon Ashmore," the woman asked. "Yes, who are you?" The woman stepped closer and Rhea saw it then, the resemblance around the eyes, the set of the jaw. "Margot," she said, "Margot Ashmore, your half-sister." The herbs dropped from Rhea's hands. "That is not possible. Our father, Jonas Ashmore, he had a talent for leaving women pregnant and alone." Margot's voice carried no bitterness, just fact. "My mother was first, then yours, maybe others. I do not know. I stopped looking after I found you." Rhea's mind raced. The woman she had known as a passing healer, the one who checked on her occasionally, she had been family all along. Why now? After all this time, why not tell me before? Because you were not ready to hear it. You were too busy being overlooked, too focused on a man who could not see you. I thought, Margot paused. I thought if I stayed at the edges, checked on you when I could, maybe one day you would be strong enough to know the truth. And now you carry witness blood into a trial that could kill you, and witness blood in trial is dangerous. Margot's expression turned grave. I carry diluted witness blood, weaker than yours, but enough to recognize the gift, enough to know what old law demands, which is sacrifice, real sacrifice, not symbolic. Margot moved closer, lowered her voice. The Severance trial was designed to test whether witness blood serves greater good or selfish desire. But old law does not care about intentions. It cares about party, and the cost is always blood. Rhea's throat tightened. Whose blood? That depends on the trial. Sometimes the witness, sometimes the alpha, sometimes, Margot hesitated, sometimes someone else entirely, someone who matters to both. You are saying someone could die. I am saying old law extracts truth through pain, through loss, through forcing choices no one should have to make. Margot's hand settled on Rhea's shoulder. I came to warn you, to offer help, because witness blood should protect witness blood, even if we are strangers. We are not strangers, Rhea said quietly, the pieces falling into place. You have been watching over me for years. I just did not know why. And now you do. Rhea studied this woman who was her sister, who had been there in the periphery all along. Why would you help me risk yourself? Because our father abandoned us both. Because we were both overlooked by the people who should have seen us. Because you are walking into something that could destroy you. Margot's eyes softened. And because I have already lost too many people to care about. I would rather not lose a sister I just found the courage to claim. Rhea felt something warm unfold in her chest, not quite hope, but something close. Family, real family. What do you suggest? Rhea asked. Prepare, study old law, understand what each test truly demands, and know that the trial will force you to choose between your power and your peace, between truth and survival, between yourself and everyone you care about. Margot stepped back. I will help you prepare. If you want. I want. Margot's expression eased slightly. Then meet me at the old oak grove at sunset. We have much to discuss and not much time. She disappeared into the trees. Rhea stood alone with dropped herbs and new understanding. A sister, witness blood lineage, old law demanding sacrifice, and 4 days until everything changed. The message from Nathan Steele arrived on the 5th day, delivered by messenger, formal, mocking. Alpha Thorn, I hear you are hosting a severance trial. How entertaining. I will wait until after the trial to discuss our border concerns. I want to see if the Blackwood Pact tears itself apart first. Much easier to conquer broken things. Alpha Nathan Steele, Stone Ridge Territory. Marcus read it twice. Felt the trap close around him. If the trial weakened the pact, Nathan would invade. If they canceled the trial, Celestine could invoke old law to force it anyway. If Rhea failed, she left permanently, and the pack lost its strongest healer. If she succeeded, the political bond dissolved and war became inevitable. No clean choices, no easy victories, only consequences in every direction. Dane found him in his office, evening light fading to purple outside. The pack is choosing sides, Dane said. Some support Celestine, stability, order, the known quantity, and the others support Rhea, truth, change, the uncomfortable questions we have been avoiding. What about you? Dane was quiet for a long moment. I support you, Marcus. Whatever you choose. But I think you need to understand something, which is, Rhea is not the same woman who left 3 months ago. She is stronger, clearer, more certain of her worth. Dane met his eyes. And she does not need you anymore. Not the way she used to. If you want her to stay after this trial, you cannot offer her the same scraps you gave before. You have to offer her everything. Or let her go. I know. Do you? Because from where I stand, you look like a man still trying to have both. The political marriage, the emotional bond, the duty and the desire. And Rhea deserves better than being your second choice disguised as first priority. The words landed heavy. True. Marcus looked at his hands, at the mark on his shoulder that bound him to Celestine, at the empty space in his chest where Rhea used to live, quietly essentially. What if I cannot give her everything, he asked. Then you let her go, cleanly, completely, without making her sacrifice herself one more time for your comfort. Dane left him with that truth. Marcus sat in the darkening office. Outside, the pack prepared for a trial that would change everything. Inside, Marcus finally understood what he had always been too blind to see. Love was not about possession, it was about choice, and Rhea had already made hers. The question was whether he could respect it, even if it meant losing her forever. The night before the trial, Rhea stood at the edge of pack territory. The awareness of Marcus pulled hard, insistent, as if distance had felt her uncertainty and was trying to close the gap. She ignored it. Margot appeared beside her, silent, steady. Ready? Margot asked. No. Good. That means you understand what you are walking into. They stood in silence. Two women carrying witness blood in a world that had tried to erase them. Two women choosing to speak truth in a trial designed to silence. Two women who had been overlooked too long. What if I fail? Rhea asked. Then you leave. Build a life elsewhere. Find peace, Mabam. What if I succeed? Then you stay. Fight the war that comes. Rebuild what truth breaks. And if someone dies? Margot's hand found hers squeezed once. Then we grieve, and we keep going. Because that is what witnesses do. We survive what should destroy us, and we testify anyway. Rhea held her sister's hand. Tomorrow the trial. Tomorrow old law would demand answers she did not have. Tomorrow she would stand before Pac and Luna and Alpha and choose between power and peace. But tonight she was not alone. And that somehow was enough. The new moon rose like a held breath. No light touched the old law ground. Only stars cold and distant and indifferent to the small dramas of wolves who thought their choices mattered to anyone but themselves. Rhiannon did not sleep the night before. She sat in the small room she had claimed in the healer's house. Margot beside her, neither speaking, simply existing in the quiet space before everything changed. At dawn, Margot broke the silence. Whatever happens today, you have already won something. Rhea looked at her, this sister who had appeared when she needed family most. What have I won? Yourself. Margot stood moved to the window where pale light was beginning to suggest shapes in darkness. 3 months ago, you would have disappeared rather than face this. 6 months ago, you would have endured Marcus's marking in silence and spent the rest of your life overlooked. But today you stand trial. You demand to be seen. You refuse to make yourself small for anyone's comfort. She turned. That is victory. Whatever old law decides comes after. Rhea absorbed the words, let them settle into the parts of her that still trembled with doubt. I am afraid, she admitted. Good. Fear means you understand the stakes. What if I fail? Then you leave. Build a life elsewhere. You have already proven you can survive without this pack. Without him. And what if someone dies? Margot's expression went grave. Then we grieve. And we remember that truth always costs something. The question is whether the cost is worth what truth reveals. Outside, the pack began to stir. The trial would begin at moonrise. 12 hours to wait. 12 hours to prepare. 12 hours until old law demanded answers that Rhea did not know if she possessed. The old law ground existed outside pack territory proper. A basin of pale stone where 5 territories met without claiming. Neutral ground. Sacred ground. The place where disputes too large for alpha authority were settled by something older than hierarchy. The pack arrived in procession, warriors first, then elders, then families, then the unmated and the young and the curious who came to witness history even if they did not fully understand what they were watching. Bonfires ringed the basin not for warmth but for witness. Fire had always been humanity's first truth-teller light that revealed what darkness tried to hide. Rhea walked alone. No escort, no ceremony. Simply her footsteps on stone worn smooth by centuries of wolves, seeking judgment from laws that predated words. She wore simple clothes, healer's tunic, practical boots, her hair unbound. She carried nothing except the truth she had been too afraid to speak for 6 years. Margot walked 3 paces behind, not as guard, as witness to the witness, as family acknowledging family in a world that had tried to erase them both. Celestine arrived in ceremonial robes, white and silver the colors of Luna authority, her dark hair braided with crystals that caught firelight and threw it back sharper. The mark on her throat visible, undeniable legal proof of her claim. She moved like a woman who had never doubted her right to power. Rhea envied that certainty even as she recognized its fragility. Marcus came last, alpha, leader. The man at the center of this fracture, whether he wanted to be or not. He wore no ceremony, simple leathers, his expression exhausted. The mark on his shoulder connecting him to Celestine visible when he moved. His gaze found Rhea across the basin. Held. She looked away first. Not from weakness, from self-preservation. The awareness between them hummed with proximity and pain and all the unspoken things that had led to this moment. Elder Corinne stepped into the center of the basin. 70 years old, sharp as winter. She had presided over pack law for 4 decades. But tonight she served something older, something that did not care about alpha authority or political convenience. Tonight she served truth. We gather under witness of fire and stone to settle a fracture that words cannot mend. Her voice carried across the silent crowd. 2 bonds exist where only one should. Political marriage between Alpha and Luna. Emotional entanglement between Alpha and Witness blood carrier. Old law will test which bond serves the greater good, which bond survives truth's examination. She turned to Rhea. Rhiannon Ashmore, Witness blood. Do you accept this trial? I accept. Do you understand the Kitana? I understand that truth always costs something. I am willing to pay. Corinne nodded, turned to Celestine. Celestine Kavanaugh, Luna, do you accept this trial? I accept. Do you understand the stakes? If Witness blood fails, she leaves permanently. If she succeeds, my bond dissolves. Either way, I risk losing what I fought to gain. Celestine's voice remained level. Yes, I understand. Finally, Corinne turned to Marcus. Marcus Thorne, Alpha. This trial tests bonds that bind you. Do you accept old law's judgment? Marcus looked at Rhea, then at Celestine, then at the gathered pack. I accept. Then let the severance trial begin. The first test arrived without warning. The bonfires flared, heat and light pressing inward. The basin seemed to contract, squeeze force everyone into uncomfortable proximity. Corinne's voice cut through the pressure. Test of sacrifice. Witness blood must prove it serves greater good, not selfish desire. A bowl appeared at the center of the basin, old stone, dark with age and use, and the blood of previous trials. Rhiannon Ashmore, Corinne said, your gift reveals truth, makes lies impossible, exposes what people would rather hide. This has brought chaos to the pack. Fracture, fear, division. Some see you as necessary, others see you as threat. The pack murmured, agreement, fear, and hope mixing in equal measure. Old law asks, will you sacrifice your gift to preserve peace? Will you silence truth-speaking to maintain order? Will you make yourself small again so others can remain comfortable? The question hung in firelit air. Rhea felt every eye settle on her, waiting for her to choose the easy path. The familiar path. The path of least resistance, where she disappeared so everyone else could breathe easier. 3 months ago she would have. Now no, Rhea said. Gasps rippled through the crowd. No, Corinne repeated. I will not silence myself to preserve false peace. I will not make myself unseen so others can maintain comfortable lies. Rhea stepped toward the basin. But I will not use truth as a weapon either. I will speak truths that heal, not truths that destroy for destruction's sake. I will reveal what serves the greater good and protect what serves only to shame. She knelt beside the bowl, let blood from her palm. 3 drops, each one carrying weight. Truth without compassion is cruelty, but silence without truth is death. I choose the middle path. Strategic honesty, merciful revelation. Truth that builds rather than simply burns. The blood in the bowl began to glow. Faint at first, then brighter. Warm light that held none of fire's harshness. The basin exhaled. Corinne studied the glowing bowl. Old law accepts. Wisdom, not power, defines witness blood. You passed the first test. Relief tried to move through Rhea. She pushed it down. 2 tests remained. and the hardest truths were still waiting. The second test came harder. The bonfires burned hotter. The basin contracted further, space disappearing. Wolves pressing closer together whether they wanted proximity or not. Test of truth, Corinne announced. Reveal the hardest truth, the foundation everyone stands on. The lie that has shaped this pack's reality. Rhea's hands trembled. She knew what old law demanded, had known since the visions started 3 days ago. Fragments of truth she had tried to ignore. Pieces of corruption she had wanted to believe did not exist. Rhiannon, Corinne pressed. Speak. Rhea looked at Marcus, saw the man who had ignored her for 6 years, who had marked another woman, who claimed he wanted to change but had not yet proven it. Saw also the boy who had smiled at her once. 17 seconds of being seen. The moment that had started 6 years of hope. Marcus's father, Rhea began, her voice quiet but carrying. Alpha Thorn, the great leader, the one Marcus tries so hard to honor. Marcus went still. He made deals, Rhea continued. Corrupt deals. With northern territories. With Stone Ridge. With territories that should have been enemies. He sold pack secrets for personal gain. Traded protection for bribes. Built the Blackwood Pack's wealth on foundations of deception. Elders shifted uncomfortably, afraid. The marriage to Celestine, Rhea said, it was not just political strategy. It was covering old corruption. Northern territories knew about Alpha Thorn's deals. They have been blackmailing the Blackwood Pack for years. The crystal mines were never offered freely. They were payment for silence. Celestine's face went pale. In Celestine's family, Rhea turned to the Luna. They were not innocent victims. They participated, profited, built their own wealth on the same corruption. The alliance was never about preventing war. It was about two guilty parties binding together to hide their mutual crimes. Silence crashed over the basin. Heavy, absolute. The kind of quiet that comes when foundations crack beneath feet. Marcus stepped forward. That is not possible. It is true, Rhea met his eyes. I am sorry. I know you built your entire identity around honoring your father's legacy, but his legacy was built on lies. And you have been maintaining those lies without knowing it. The duty you cling to so desperately, it was corrupt from the beginning. Marcus looked like she had struck him. Celestine found her voice. You accuse my family of crimes with no proof. I have proof, Rhea gestured to Margot. My sister, she carries diluted witness blood. She has been tracking corruption through territories for years, trying to understand why witness blood disappeared. She found records, letters, transactions that prove everything I have said. Margot stepped forward, placed a leather satchel at Corinne's feet. Documentation, 3 decades of corruption, names, dates, amounts, all of it. The basin seemed to hold its breath. Corinne opened the satchel, examined the contents. Her expression grew harder with each page. This is authentic, she said finally. Old law recognizes truth. The pack erupted, voices rising, accusations flying, elders defending themselves, warriors demanding accountability. The careful order that had held the pack together dissolving into chaos. Marcus stood frozen. Rhea watched him shatter, watched everything he thought he knew about himself, his father, his duty, crumble into dust. She wanted to comfort him, wanted to say it would be okay, but that would be a lie, and she was done with lies, even merciful ones. Old law demands truth, Corinne said, her voice cutting through chaos, even when truth destroys. Rhiannon Ashmore has revealed foundation rot, corruption at the heart of pack leadership. This truth serves greater good even though it causes pain. She turned to Rhea. You passed the second test. 2 down, 1 remaining. The hardest one. The third test did not announce itself with fire or pressure. It arrived in silence. The bonfires dimmed. The basin expanded. Space returning. Distance allowing breath. Corinne stepped back. Test of worth, she said quietly. The Alpha must declare what witness blood means. Threat or treasure. Duty or desire. Silence or speech. Every eye turned to Marcus. He stood at the edge of the basin, still shattered, still processing revelations that had destroyed his understanding of himself. Marcus Thorne, Corinne prompted. Old law asks, what does Rhiannon Ashmore mean to you? The expected answer sat obvious in the air. Romantic declaration. Passionate speech. The Alpha choosing the woman he loved over duty and politics and everything else. The crowd leaned forward, waiting for drama, for emotion, for the satisfying conclusion to a love story that had been building for 6 years. Marcus opened his mouth, closed it, opened it again. I cannot answer that question, he said. Confusion rippled through the watching wolves. You must answer, Corinne said. Old law demands. Old law can demand anything it wants. Marcus's voice grew stronger. But I will not stand here and declare what Rhiannon means to me, because that is not the question that matters. He turned, looked directly at Rhea. For 6 years I made choices for you, about you, without you. I decided you were not important enough to see. I decided your service was background noise. I decided to mark another woman while some part of me knew you existed and chose to ignore it anyway. The awareness between them pulled tight. I will not make that mistake again, Marcus continued. I will not stand here and declare my feelings as if what I want should determine your worth, as if my recognition is what makes you real, as if your value depends on whether I finally open my eyes. He stepped into the basin, crossed to stand before her. The question is not what you mean to me, Rhiannon. The question is, what do you want? What do you choose? What serves you rather than serving everyone else? The crowd went absolutely silent. Rhea stared at him. This was not the romantic declaration she had once dreamed of. This was something far more dangerous. He was giving her power, giving her choice, giving her the one thing she had never truly had in 6 years of loving him. Agency. What do I want? She repeated. Yes. Rhea looked at the pack, at Celestine standing proud and hurt and furious, at Marcus standing broken and honest and finally seeing her, at Margot, her sister, her witness, at the future spreading out in every possible direction. She could choose him, choose the pack, choose the romantic ending everyone expected. She could choose to leave, choose peace, choose the borderlands and the life she had built there. She could choose anything, everything, nothing. The choice was hers. For the first time in 6 years, the choice was entirely hers. Rhea stepped back, put distance between herself and Marcus, between herself and expectation, between herself and the comfortable lie that being chosen by someone else was the same as choosing yourself. When she spoke, her voice carried across the basin with the weight of 6 years' silence finally breaking. I spent 6 years trying to be small enough that someone might notice the space I took up, quiet enough that maybe one day I would be heard, useful enough that eventually I would matter. The words came faster now, stronger. I thought if I was just patient enough, just helpful enough, just present enough, eventually the man I loved would look at me and see what I had been offering all along. Tears bright in her eyes but not falling. She would not cry. Not here. Not now. I was wrong. The admission landed heavy. I was wrong because I built my entire worth on whether someone else validated it. I made myself disappear because I thought that was safer than being seen and dismissed. I swallowed my voice because I thought silence was what love required. She looked at Marcus, really looked. You did not make me unseen, Marcus. I made myself that way. I chose to disappear rather than risk being rejected. I chose to love you quietly because loud love terrified me. I chose to be useful because being an essential felt safer than being wanted. Marcus's expression cracked. But I am done with that, Rhea continued. I am done making myself small. I am done building my worth on whether anyone else sees me. She turned to address the full pack now. I do not need Marcus Thorne to complete me. I do not need this pack to validate me. I do not need witness blood power to matter. Her voice rose strong, clear, unshakable. I choose myself. I choose my voice. I choose my worth. I choose to be whole on my own rather than half alive in someone else's shadow. The basin seemed to listen, stone and fire and ancient law leaning into her words. Partnership should be choice, not necessity. Love should be gift, not rescue. Being seen should be beginning, not ending. She looked at each person individually, Celestine, Marcus, Corinne, Margot, the pack members who had ignored her, the ones who had used her, the ones who had never known her name. I am Rhiannon Ashmore, healer, witness blood carrier, woman who knows her value, and I will not disappear for anyone ever again. Silence. Absolute. Perfect. Then the basin exploded with light. Not fire, not heat. Something older, cleaner truth made visible. The light surrounded Rhea, lifted her, held her in witness that had nothing to do with Marcus or Celestine or pack politics. Old law recognizing itself. Witness blood acknowledging witness. Truth honoring the choice to speak even when silence would have been easier. Corinne's voice came quiet, awed. Old law has spoken. The light faded slowly. Rhea stood exactly where she had been, unchanged physically, but something fundamental had shifted. She had chosen herself. An old law had witnessed that choice, made it sacred, made it permanent, made it law. Celestine moved first. She stepped into the basin, approached Rhea with dignity intact despite everything. "You won," Celestine said simply. "This was not a competition." Was it not? A small, sad smile. "You have what I thought I needed. Power, truth, the ability to stand alone without requiring validation from anyone else." She turned to Marcus. "I release you from our bond." Gasps filled the basin. "Celestine?" Marcus started. "No," she raised a hand. "I will not be second choice. I will not build a future on hollow foundation. I will not stand marked as Luna while everyone knows your heart belongs elsewhere." She touched the mark on her throat. "This bound us legally, politically, but it never bound us truthfully. We were both trapped in a prison we built with duty and fear, and the corruption our parents committed." "Your territory will be vulnerable," Marcus said. "Then I will make it strong another way, through honest alliances, through rebuilding trust, through choosing differently than our parents did." Celestine straightened. "I am not weak, Marcus. I am simply done pretending this was ever real." She turned to the pack. "I, Celestine Kavanaugh Luna of Northern Territories and Blackwood Pack, formally dissolve the marked bond under old law's witness. Let it be known that I choose my dignity over political convenience." The mark on her throat began to fade. Not quickly, not painlessly, but deliberately chosen erasure rather than forced separation. Marcus watched it happen, the symbol of duty, of sacrifice, of 6 years of trying to honor a corrupt legacy. All of it dissolving, leaving him unmarked, unbound, free to choose. Celestine met his eyes one last time. Earn her, not with words, with action, with consistency, with seeing her even when it is inconvenient, with loving her when she is difficult, not just when she is useful. "I will. We will see." She turned, walked out of the basin with head high and shoulders back. A woman who had lost political power but gained something more valuable: self-respect. The pack began to dissolve. Not immediately, but slowly, wolves processing what they had witnessed. Truth about their dead alpha. Corruption in their foundations. A Luna releasing her bond. A witness blood carrier choosing herself over romance. Too much to absorb at once. Too much to fit into comfortable narratives. Marcus stood alone in the basin. Rhea had not left, but she had not approached either. She stood at the edge, waiting, watching, giving him space to shatter without needing to comfort him. He crossed to her finally. "I do not ask you to need me," he said. "Good. I do not expect you to forgive 6 years of blindness. Also good. I do not deserve you. Probably not." A faint curve touched his mouth. "You are not making this easy." "Why should I?" Rhea met his eyes. "You made loving you the loneliest thing I ever did. Why should letting you earn trust be easy? It should not be." "Then what do you want, Marcus?" "A chance, not to fix what broke, but to build something new, something honest, where I see you every day, where I choose you actively, not as default, not as consolation, but as first choice made repeatedly." Rhea studied him, saw sincerity, saw exhaustion, saw a man who had just lost every foundation he thought he stood on. "I am not staying," she said. His face fell. "I am not staying," Rhea repeated. "Not yet. Not until I am certain I am choosing you rather than choosing the comfort of being chosen. I need time, space, clarity that does not come from proximity and pressure." "How much time?" "As long as it takes." She softened slightly. "But I am not disappearing. I am going back to the borderlands. I am building the life I started there. And if you want to prove you see me, prove you choose me, then do it from a distance. Through action, not words. Through consistency, not grand gestures." "What does that look like?" "That is for you to figure out." Rhea stepped back. "I spent 6 years trying to be what you needed. Now you get to figure out how to be what I need, without me guiding you, without me making it easy." Marcus absorbed that, nodded slowly. "I can do that. We will see." She turned to leave. Marcus caught her hand gently, carefully. "Rhea." She looked back. "Thank you." "For what?" "For choosing yourself. Even though it would have been easier to choose me, even though the pack expected romance, even though old law gave you the power to demand anything you wanted." His thumb brushed across her knuckles. "You chose yourself. And that is the bravest thing I have ever seen anyone do." Rhea's throat tightened. She pulled her hand free, not cruelly but firmly. Do not thank me for finally learning to value myself, Marcus. That should have been a given, not an achievement. She left before he could respond. Margot fell into step beside her. Proud of you, Margot said quietly. For what? For being stronger than I was. For choosing differently. Margot's hand found hers. For teaching me that it is never too late to pick yourself first. They walked out of the basin together. Two women carrying witness blood. Two women who had been overlooked too long. Two women who had finally learned to speak. The pack reformed slowly over the following weeks. Rhea returned to the borderlands, watching from a distance as Marcus began the hard work of rebuilding what corruption had broken. Elder Corinne led investigations into the old deals. Names emerged. Elders resigned. Warriors faced accountability. The comfortable lies that had held everything together dissolved under witness scrutiny. It was painful. Necessary. Right. Marcus established new governance witness council truth keepers with power to expose corruption without alpha approval. Women given equal voice in pack decisions. Transparency replacing hierarchy in critical areas. He did it without asking Rhea's opinion, without seeking her approval. Simply did the work because it needed doing. News reached the borderlands through travelers. Celestine had returned to Northern Territories, made alliance with Nathan Steele, not romantic, political. Two damaged people building honest partnership rather than performing false affection. Borders stabilized. War was averted. The Blackwood Pack adapted slowly, imperfectly, but genuinely. And in the borderlands, Rhea built. She taught healing, trained witness bloods as they emerged from hiding, created community for those who had been overlooked, for the forgotten, for those who had spent too long being useful without being valued. She thrived, not despite leaving Marcus, because of it, because choosing herself had unlocked something that choosing him never could have. Freedom. 6 months after the severance trial, Marcus appeared at the Borderlands settlement. No fanfare, no warriors, no alpha authority. Just a man with a pack on his back and exhaustion written across his face. Rhea found him near the well. "What are you doing here?" she asked. "May I speak with you?" "You are speaking with me now." Privately. She studied him. 6 months had changed him. He carried weight differently, moved with less certainty and more humility. The mark from Celestine was gone completely, his shoulder bare, unmarked, available. "Fine," Rhea said. They walked to the forest edge, away from curious eyes. Marcus spoke first. "I am not here to ask you to come back to Blackwood territory." "Good, because I am not coming back." "I know." He set down the pack. "I am here to ask if I may stay here, in the borderlands, with you." Rhea blinked. "What?" "I have reformed pack law, established the witness council, built accountability structures. Dana's acting alpha while I am gone. The pack is stable, better than stable. It is honest, for the first time in generations. So I can lead from anywhere, and I would rather lead from beside you than from a throne that requires your absence." The offer hung in air between them. Rhea crossed her arms. "You want to live here in the borderlands, away from your pack and your power and your comfortable leadership?" "Yes." "Wipe on, because you were right. I needed to prove I see you. Not with words, with action, with consistency, with choosing you even when it is inconvenient." He met her eyes. "And the most inconvenient thing I can do is leave everything I built to be where you are, not to drag you back to where I am. That is not earning trust, that is grand gesture. It is both." Marcus stepped closer. "But mostly it is me understanding that I do not deserve you in my space until I prove I can respect yours." Rhea studied him, searched for manipulation, for strategy, for the Marcus who had ignored her for 6 years. Found only exhaustion, honesty, and the quiet determination of a man who had finally learned that love is action, not feeling. "You can stay," she said finally, "but not with me. You get your own space, your own life. We are not picking up where some fantasy left off. If you want to court me, actually court me. Properly. Like I am someone worth the effort, rather than someone you finally noticed when I left." "I can do that. Can you stay here in the borderlands with no power, no throne, no warriors to command? Can you be just Marcus instead of Alpha Marcus? Can you see me when I am difficult and tired and human, rather than the perfect image you built when I was not here?" "I would like to try." "Trying is not enough. Then I will succeed or fail honestly, but I will not fail by not trying." Rhea wanted to say no, wanted to protect herself from the risk of hoping again, wanted to choose safety over vulnerability. But safety had never given her anything worth keeping. And vulnerability, terrifying as it was, had led her here to herself, to her voice, to the understanding that she could choose to risk without choosing to disappear. You may try, she said. I make no promises. I do not deserve promises. No, you do not. She softened just slightly. But you can earn possibility. If you show up every day, if you see me every day, if you choose me not over duty, but alongside your integrity. I will. We will see. Marcus smiled small, real, the first genuine smile she had seen from him since that day 6 years ago, when he had looked at her across blood-stained ground and said thank you. May I ask you something, he said. You may ask, I may not answer. Fair. He paused. If this works, if I earn your trust, if you choose to try with me. What does that look like? Rhea considered. It looks like partnership, equal partnership, where my voice matters as much as yours, where my needs are not background to your leadership, where I am whole and you are whole and we choose to build something together rather than me filling spaces in your life. I want that. Then show me, not tomorrow, not with perfect behavior, but consistently, over time, with patience, with seeing me even when it is hard, with loving me when I am not easy to love. I can do that. Can you do? She stepped back. Because 6 months ago you marked another woman while thinking of me. 6 years ago you forgot my name after I saved your life. I do not forget easily, Marcus. And I do not forgive just because someone says the right words. I know, then know this too. Rhea held his gaze. If you fail me again, I will not give you another chance. I will not spend another 6 years hoping you finally see me. I will walk away cleanly, completely, without looking back. I understand. Do you, Tish? Yes. He stepped closer but did not touch. You are setting boundaries. You are protecting yourself. You are making clear that my chance is earned, not given. And that is exactly what you should do. Rhea searched his face for any sign of resentment, found only acceptance. Okay, she said. Okay. You can stay. You can try. We will see what happens. It was not a romantic declaration, not a happy ending, not even a beginning, really. It was possibility, fragile, uncertain, contingent on choices neither of them had made yet. But possibility was more than Rhea had ever had before. And this time she was choosing it with eyes open, with voice present, with full awareness that she could survive if it failed. Because she had already survived worse. She had survived being overlooked. And anything was better than that. Time moved differently in the borderlands, not slower, not faster, simply more intentional. Marcus stayed, not in Rhea's house, in his own small dwelling at the edge of the settlement, close enough to see her daily, far enough to respect her space. He did not lead here. He helped, carried water, repaired buildings, learned healing from Rhea without assuming expertise. He asked her questions, real questions about her childhood, her mother, her dreams, the 6 years she had spent trying to disappear. He listened to the answers, actually listened, remembered them, referenced them in later conversations, proved he was paying attention. He made mistakes, said wrong things, assumed when he should have asked, struggled with not being in charge. But he acknowledged the mistakes, apologized when necessary, changed behavior rather than just feeling guilty. It was not perfect. It was honest. And honest, Rhea discovered, was better than perfect. 3 weeks after he arrived, Rhea invited him to walk with her. Not a date, not a romantic gesture, just two people walking through forest while sun set and shadows grew long. Can I ask you something? Rhea said. Yes. Why now? Why finally? What changed? Marcus was quiet for a long time. They walked in silence, footsteps on moss birds settling into evening songs. The trial, he said finally. Watching you choose yourself. Watching you refuse to disappear, even though it would have been easier. Watching you stand in front of the entire pack and declare your worth without needing my validation. He stopped walking, turned to face her. I realized I had been loving the idea of you, the useful healer, the quiet presence, the woman who made my life easier without requiring acknowledgement. But I had never loved you, Rhiannon, the woman who was fierce and tired and lonely and brave enough to walk away from everything she knew. Rhea's throat tightened. I want to know you, Marcus continued. Really know you. Not as convenience, not as fantasy, but as you are, complicated, human, real. What if you do not like what you find? Then at least I will have seen you honestly, and you will not have wasted more time being overlooked by someone who claims to care. The answer settled between them, true hard right. Okay, Rhea said. Okay, ask me questions, know me, See me as I actually am, rather than as you need me to be. So he did, and she answered, honestly, completely, without making herself smaller to fit his expectations. It was terrifying. It was freeing. It was the beginning of something that might become real if they both chose it every day again and again. 6 months became a year. Marcus stayed not perfectly, not without struggle, but consistently. He built life in the borderlands, led the Blackwood Pack through remote council. Shared power distributed authority proved leadership did not require physical throne. He courted Rhea properly, asked permission before touching, respected. Her no, without pressure, showed up for small moments instead of grand gestures. Learned that love is daily choice, not one-time declaration. Rhea learned to trust again, slowly, carefully, with full awareness that trust once broken rebuilds differently than it began. She let him in not all at once, but in pieces and moments, in the gradual lowering of walls built through 6 years of being overlooked. She learned that being seen could be safe if the person seeing her respected what they found. They did not mark each other, not yet, maybe not ever. The marked bond had represented duty and deception. They wanted something else, something chosen, something built on truth rather than tradition. On the anniversary of the severance trial, Marcus found Rhea at the well-evening light golden settlement, quiet peace settling over everything like a benediction. Rhiannon Ashmore, he said, formal, careful. She looked up. Marcus Thorne, I have a question. You always have questions. This one is different. He stepped closer. May I court you officially not as alpha to healer, not as man seeking redemption, but as Marcus to Rhiannon, as someone who has finally learned that seeing you is not achievement, it is a privilege. Rhea studied him. 1 year of consistency, of showing up, of choosing her even when it was inconvenient. 1 year of him learning her habits, her fears, her dreams, her worth. 1 year of her learning him his damage, his growth, his genuine effort to be different. It was not perfect, but it was real. You may try, she said. He smiled. I make no promises except to keep trying. That is all I ask. Said, no. Rhea stepped closer. I ask that you see me every day, even when it is hard, even when I am difficult, even when loving me is inconvenient. I ask that you choose me actively, repeatedly, not as default, but as deliberate decision. I can do that. Then show me, not with words, with action, with time, with consistency that proves this is not performance. This is who you are choosing to be. I will. We will see. The phrase had become ritual between them, promise and challenge, an acknowledgement that trust is earned, not given. Marcus reached for her hand. She let him take it, not surrender, not dependence. Choice equal honest hers. They stood together as sun set, two people who had taken the long way to each other, two people who had learned that love is not about being completed by someone else. It is about being whole on your own and choosing to build with someone who respects that wholeness. The borderlands stretched quiet around them. In Blackwood territory, the pack thrived under honest leadership. In northern territories, Celestine built alliances based on truth rather than manipulation. And here in the space between territories, two people who had been overlooked too long finally learned to see each other. Not perfectly, not easily, but truly. And truth, however difficult, was always better than comfortable lies. Some stories do not end with happily ever after. They end with a woman choosing herself, with a man learning that love is action, not possession, with two damaged people deciding that healing together might be worth the risk, with the understanding that being seen is gift, not right, with the knowledge that silence kills slowly and truth, however painful, gives life. Rhiannon Ashmore stood at the well in the borderlands, whole, visible, chosen by herself first, everything else they would see. And that was enough. More than enough. It was everything.